Hello, my name is Dan Pacheco. I'm a professor at Syracuse University and the Journalism Innovation Chair for the SI Newhouse School. And I'm here to show you a tool that I created this summer called WebXRide. So this is not just me saying what I did in my summer vacation. This is something I did by necessity. And part of the reason for it was because as someone who teaches uh, storytelling. Um, Increasingly, I've had to teach some basic web coding to students, and communication students tend to be a little code averse, not always, but sometimes. And so I find that integrated development environments make things a little bit easier. Um, and I used a service called Glitch, which I loved and I still love, and they shut down. And I understand their reasons and everything, but I needed something. So, thanks to the age of generative AI and vibe coding, I have built a replacement, and I think it's working pretty well. I've been testing it out with some students, and I built this with Cursor, in case you're interested, which uses a Cloud in the back end. So what I want to do is I'm going to show how it works, and I'm doing this not just because I want to show how awesome I feel about it, because I did put about 60 hours of my time into this product managing an AI, but if you are an educator and you're also SOL because you relied on something like Glitch or you just want something better, here's an option for you. So the caveat is I'm not hosting it for anyone but myself. I do have a hosting solution for it. And you can install it yourself for really pretty inexpensively. And the nice thing is there's a script that's set up to kind of automate a lot of it for you. So that's sort of the direction I'm taking. So we'll be open sourcing it soon. If you're interested in testing it out, giving me feedback, especially if you're an educator, please reach out and pass this on to others. So I'm going to show you kind of how it works. First of all, I do have a nice little about page here talking about everything I said. So when you log in, you can kind of see. There is a basic sign in. And after you sign in, you see this, and it basically tells you, hey, choose your name. So the way this works is the admin educator has kind of a tool where they can select a class or create a class and then create users. So you go over here, you find your class. So here I'll find this class, and then I'll find my user. And then I see kind of a welcome thing. And this here, so the way this system works is you're going to see code, and you can change stuff right here. Hey, world, right? So you see that changes. You can change images, all that. You do, it supports anything that works in a web browser, basically, without plugins. And if you open this, then you see your stuff. So at the very top left, you have templates. The templates are created by the educator. And then you see files you've uploaded. So it currently supports, other than obviously HTML, it supports standard image formats, MP3 audio files, and 3D models, which is kind of fun. Um, and so, as I mentioned, you kind of can change things here. You see them. And up here, you have files, the HTML file, and then you can add a style sheet and you can add a script. And you see the name there, script.js style CSS, so you can then reflect that up in your headers. You can also add any other type of file. So if you had, say, a JSON file or something else, you could put that in there. Um, and then when you're done making your stuff up here, you then click Export Local Site, and it puts everything in a folder, and you have all the stuff, and you can do what you want with it. You can also take any of these tabs, and you can click Copy Code, copied, and then you paste that. So what I have my students do is they set up GitHub pages, and then I'll have them create the pages there manually initially, and then they copy paste over there. But you can use whatever you want. I also have this new feature I'm kind of playing around with called snippets. So you can create your little snippets that remind students of how to do certain things, and they can just copy those and then insert them right into the page, or just copy and paste. All right. So those are the basic features, but let me just show this. It's pretty cool. With images, if you click here, you can see them and go through gallery, and then you can just copy the URL and then paste the URL in. So if I wanted, say, a play button here, which Let's just do it for fun. There it is, all right? And then you can style it and all the other things you want to do. And these are all in Supabase file bucket storage, which I found to be pretty good. In the future, maybe I'll add support for other common buckets, but Supabases work great for me. Um, Down here, audio files, you select them, immediately kind of can listen to a preview, and then you copy the URL. And let's look at my favorite thing, because it is WebXR IDE. We go to 3D stuff. I have a 3D viewer, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. And this is something actually from the project that I've been working on this summer that required something like this. This is where we really go beyond a typical IDE. It's optimized for XR. So that's a 3D scan pot that somebody made. You can look through things in gallery mode. These are tomatoes. Well, okay, that's a tomato on a plate. This will all make sense when you learn why I needed to have this tool, but I can't talk about it right now. Yeah, okay. So there's a tomato. Let's find something else. Yeah, just here's a 3D scan of a wall. So the app doesn't do 3D scans, but it supports GLB files, right? And then if you wanted to use that, you could then go here, copy the URL, and then do stuff with it. Those are the basic features. In terms of the admin, I'll show you how those work. So there's a special URL that you go to, and then there's a special password, which I will not tell you right now. But if you were to use this, I would give you a password. Um, so with admin, you can create something here and then save it as a template. When you click save as a template, it shows up in a list of templates that the students in your class need. So I'll go through the templates in a second here, but there are also these things called starters. And so these are things that someone who's working on a template can start with and then modify to create their own template, right? Uh, and then when you're looking at starters, just to show you how far this tool can go, this here is an immersive museum built in A-frame about vegetables. I know it sounds weird. One day you're going to know what this is all for. Uh, and so that there's uh, a cursor we're just moving through when we um, select certain things. It's gaze based, so you can do all this stuff in A-frame. A lot of people know about this, but this is making it easy for people. But they're coding, and not everything is done for you. It's just kind of sets you up to then be able to do more. Um, that is just kind of one of the starters. And if you wanted to use that starter template, what you would do then is say, oh, okay, I like that vegetable museum. Let's open that in an editor. And here's the real magic of how this works and why this is an XR integrated development environment. Here you see the preview of this vegetable museum, and then here's all the code for it. So obviously, this is not an optimized template right now, but I'm going to be getting to, and what I hope other educators do, is make really nice, easy to understand commented templates. So you can then walk students through how, like in this case with A-frame, you have to declare your assets, and then further down, you have to then have the links to them, and all that stuff, right? But you can kind of make it easy for them. What I do more and more, by the way, is move a lot of the JavaScript and other stuff into a script. And lest you think that I only hire AI for $20 a month, I do also have a really great developer who I've hired for a few months part-time, who comes from the engineering school, computer science at Syracuse University. And he's kind of helping me with these. Um, but most of you are just going to be making, showing how to make simple web pages. And just so you know, if you click say, well, if I click save template, it would save it there. You just have to believe me. Um, but if I'm a user, instead of save template, I see export local site. And with that, I click export and it puts it all into a zip file, which I don't think you can see that on my screen, but it's all zipped up, and what you get is a folder that has a file index.html, script.jss, and style.css. And then there's a special file called assets.txt that has links to all the assets that were loaded into your WebXR uh, project. The reason for that, and this was actually the initial reason for it, is that for really intensive immersive things, you have to have everything either running on a local web server or it has to be hosted somewhere that is in a secure server. And most people getting started with coding don't have the knowledge or the ability to do that. So with this, you upload stuff and then you get the links, you put them in your code, you understand how, okay, I'm linking to things, but I'm allowed to link to this, and it all just works anywhere. So that's both the upside and potentially the downside. I do know there could be, increased hosting costs, but again, this is for educational use. And oh, last thing I want to show is for admin, how you can add users. So there's a whole system here for you can go here, you could say class, I want to add a class, and then it will show up there, and then you click add students and you assign them to a class. So it's really like very, very brute force, dumb, like, simple, but that's sort of the idea. Here's your snippets. You can add snippets. It's really easy to add those code snippets. About page, you can edit that. So at this point, I feel like this is now ready to at least release to those who want to test it out. And then after we kind of try things out and deal with some bugs together, then open source it. And I hope that a community can develop that actually really wants to work together on this. Although it's complicated to be coding collectively with AI involved, but I'm sure we can figure it out. So that's my invitation to you.